All right, so in the last video, we went over some of the basic dressings and Band-Aids and all that stuff. So now we're going to go over some of the other stuff that you might need in a first aid kit, some of the miscellaneous stuff. We'll start off with some of the safety and sanitation stuff, and then we'll move into lighting and all of that. Or we'll just go from that side over to this side. I don't know. But start off with some of the personal protection stuff that you would want.
Well, you want to always have your PPE, which is personal protective equipment. So one of the biggest things that you'll need is gloves. Nitrile gloves are the best, I think.
Latex free.
Latex free. You also need some goggles.
Because you need to look cool.
You gotta look cool. These don't look very cool, but it will protect you from stuff splashing up in your face.
And those are just the cheap, I think, $1 glasses, right?
Yeah,
we've got a few of those.
And these are ones we've actually used, like in our garage, for when we're sanding and stuff to protect our eyes. Masks. You can get these at the dollar store for, what, 10 for $1?
Yep. And also get a few of the N95 masks as well, or a couple. They're a little more expensive, and not necessary for everything.
No, but if you do have an N95 respirator, make sure you do a fit test to make sure it fits you correctly. Because if it doesn't fit you correctly, there's not really any sense in having it.
Yeah.
You'd be better off with nothing. Something that I have to point to, because I really don't want to unfold it. This is like a personal protective gown. So that's something that will repel spills, or if it gets wet, or body fluids and stuff, it'll keep it off of you.
Keep you a little more protected from stuff like Ebola and all that.
Yeah, hopefully. Maybe.
Yeah, hopefully. And then you've also, up there, we've got the biohazard bags, and even just a trash bag wrapped in with a couple rubber bands around it. Just something to throw that stuff into, because you're not going to want it laying around. Biohazard waste bags are a little better than trash bags, but...
Just because they're red.
Yeah.
And then you know it's biohazard. Everybody knows red. Warning, warning.
Yeah. So what are a few, I guess we'll just start going from that side to this side. What are a few of the other things that aren't the actual dressings, the Band-Aids and stuff? What are some of the other things that you might need in there?
Well, this is good to have. This is the Mylar
space blanket or emergency blankets.
And it's not really, I don't think it's going to keep you warm, but what it does is it holds the heat in. So that you actually get warm from your own body heat.
It's one of those better than nothing type things.
Yeah, and it actually also is very reflective. So if you found yourself in a situation where you needed to like signal someone, you could actually do it with this, because it's very, very bright and shiny.
Even make shelter and stuff like that. Multi-purpose item.
Yep.
Really good to have.
Petroleum jelly, Vaseline, that's good to have, because you can, with some cotton balls and some way to start fire, you can actually start a fire.
Yep. What medical purpose does that have, though?
It actually keeps wounds moist. So if you have a wound that's too dry or something, it'll keep it moist. It works if you don't have any chapstick. You can use it for lip balm if your lips get chapped like mine do, but I always have extra lip balm because I'm addicted to chapstick. Rubber bands are always good to have. You can always find uses for rubber bands. I also put a hair tie in ours because my hair's long, and I want to make sure that if I'm working on someone, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
Getting in someone's. So that's important. Different types of scissors.
Yeah, you've got the bandage scissors, right? And then these are
little bandage scissors. I like the big ones.
But and those are suture scissors,
These are suture scissors, but they have lots of purposes. But that little hook on it, I don't know if you can see the little hook. The little hook. That makes it so you can take stitches out. You get up underneath the suture.
Without cutting the person?
Hopefully. Sometimes
trying to not cut the person.
Yeah, depending on who did the stitching. And then tweezers. Tweezers are good for everything. It's like Dale has a splinter or has a hair he wants me to pull out.
Wow.
There you go. Safety pins. You can use safety pins many, many different uses. So safety pins are always good to have around.
Good to have digging a splinter out or something like that if you need to.
Yeah, or it can, like, if you lose a button, you could pin your shirt shut.
Or a dressing.
A dressing.
Sealing a dressing together.
Yep. A scalpel. This is an 11 blade. Yeah. So an 11 blade it has a sharp edge. So it's like, and then there's a 15 blade, which is nice to have too, because a 15 has a round tip, and this is more of it's a sharp, pokey tip. So you could use that for lots of different things, not necessarily just medically related. If you didn't have any scissors, you had a little straight blade, you could cut stuff.
Yep. Cool. And then thermometers. We've got a couple here that you've got that little one that is like an in-home thermometer. And then we also have the temporary thermometers.
Yeah. Get your face in here so I can show people how this works. These are nice. You put them like here. Oh, maybe. And then when it beeps again, you're alive. You're 98.1.
I'm alive. And we also have these, which are that I have in the bug out bag first aid kit, that are just disposable thermometers, but they're a lot more space efficient and lightweight and they're only one-time use, and they're not as accurate as that, but worst case scenario, if you needed them,
gives you a general idea.
Yeah. And there's a million different types of thermometers. I wouldn't suggest having anything that has the mercury or glass, because that's going to break and just cause more problems.
Well, not only that, but it's really hard to read a mercury thermometer. Have you ever tried to do that?
Yeah.
It's very hard to read.
And then some of we did a video on over-the-counter medications, but we also have some Advil, some bacitracin, some iodine.
Those are alcohol.
Alcohol swabs. Yeah, not iodine. You got iodine over there. But just some of the basics of a lot of over-the-counter medications. If you haven't watched that video, go ahead and watch that one where we talk about a lot of stuff. But a lot of that, just basic stuff. And you're going to need more than just what we're showing here. This is just because it fit into the screen. So, have a bunch of alcohol swabs. Have a bottle of Advil and aspirin and all of that, not just the little individual packets. These are for the bug out bag first aid kit that I put together, because this is small enough. It's got all of this stuff in it that fits in your bug out bag. And that's one more thing I wanted to talk about too. You can have your home kit like that. You've got the small bug out bag kit, or you can have like Lisa's super duper kit, which she's got the medical training and everything. So she's got a lot more in hers than the average person would have in theirs. And that's almost a little bit too small for her stuff. But
yeah,
she's only got like 13 kits. So
yeah.
Make sure your kit has a first aid manual as well, because that kind of explains, and the bug out bag kit has those in it as well, but kind of make sure it explains a lot of the different stuff if you're not quite sure about it. And we're going to be going through a lot of that on this course as well. But
another good tip, when you get your little basic first aid book, read it.
Yeah.
Read it before you have to use it, because if someone's bleeding all over the place, you don't want to say, wait a minute, let me turn to page, bleeding, let me find bleeding. Oh, okay, this is what I need to do. And it takes 5 minutes, and Dale's bleeding out because I'm trying to read about bleeding.
Thanks, Lisa.
You're welcome.
Now, explain what this is. This looks like a Sasquatch maxi pad.
Or it's a puppy pad, too. People use them as puppy pads. This is a Chuck's. We call them Chucks.
A Chuck's pad.
And what it is it would give you a clean area to work. So Dale cut his arm again because Dale's not
I'm that way.
No, yeah, so you're going to put it like that. So it gives you a clean area to work, and it collects if there's blood and stuff. It's also, this is absorbent. So you can dump stuff all over his arm.
So say we're bugging out or something, and you don't want to be working on me on solid ground or a picnic table or something.
Yeah, then I can use this. And it'll give you a clean surface. It's not a sterile surface, but it'll give you a clean surface to work. And then worst case scenario, you ran out of everything for your dressings. Well, Dale just got a Chuck's dressing, especially if he's bleeding a lot. So we can put that over. It's very absorbent. And then you can wrap Ace Wrap on it to add a little bit of compression and keep everything in place.
Now I got a Sasquatch maxi pad on my arm.
Yeah, and then this will fill up with blood or whatever's coming out of you, and it'll stay in here and not get all over your clothes, because that's important.
Cool. And then what are these things right there?
Those are saline bullets. So little, I think they're 1 cc. I think they're 1 cc each one. So those are good for, if you have like albuterol treatments and stuff, that's what these are for. But which is a breathing treatment. Or I like to use them if you want to, you can get some pressure behind it. So they're these little single pieces break off, and then the top breaks out. And if you want to apply pressure, or so if you're washing out a wound or something, you can squeeze it and it'll spray the water into the area you're trying to wash.
In your at-home first aid kit, you'll want the bottles of it because of that same reason, right? Plus, it's a lot more. That's not very much if you're cleaning out a decent-sized wound.
But this doesn't weigh a lot, so this is something that would be perfect in your bug-out bag kit.
Yep. And then as far as lights go, we have a few different headlamps. This is like a super-duper headlamp that has the battery pack on the back, and it's really bright. A little regular flashlights, and even it might be a good idea, maybe not in your first aid kit, but to have something that is kind of a crank light. And remember that it's going to take a lot of energy to crank these up. It's not just 5 turns and it works. But the good thing about having one of these around is that if you run out of batteries or your batteries got destroyed or lost, you've got another way of doing that. And these lanterns are pretty cool actually too, because they do take batteries and they crank. So, but even a small headlamp like this one doesn't have batteries in it, but something that can clip on to some kind of strap or something that you can keep your hands free. That's why I like all of these headlamps. Are just great for everything, but if you can keep your hands free when you're working, when you're doing first aid, when you're doing anything, it's really convenient to just have one of these. And that's why I love this sucker so much, because this sucker's bright.
That was my Christmas present, by the way, that I haven't gotten to wear yet because Dale always has it on.
And it's awesome. And it's got the strobe effect too. This really has nothing to do with first aid, but it's pretty cool. So anyway, that's kind of some of the basic stuff that you'll want in there. And on the course below this, we have a list that Red Cross recommends. And then as preppers, like I said in the article, preppers, we go a little bit more to the extreme, I suppose. We need more different stuff, and that's how you kind of customize your kit to depending on your situation, your family's medical needs. Also, with that book in the back of that. Can you grab that? The back of that, there's a place to put information too. There's
emergency contact numbers.
Yep. So you can put that if something happens to you and somebody's trying to figure out who you are, then they'll have that information. They'll know what you're allergic to, what all of that different stuff. That way they don't do more damage than good. But that's it for this video. Until the next video, everybody take care and prepare.